welcome to our channel, Gray Matters. We are two neurodivergent ladies who fixate and need to share, and we've created this channel to do just that. Check out our podcast, Fixate Today, Gone Tomorrow, for some deeper dives. Tithing is the biblically based practice of stewarding what God has given you back to your church home. The church, in turn, is entrusted to steward its financial resources to advance the mission of God locally, nationally, and globally. Tithing is viewed as a form of worship, showing the tither's trust in God to provide what is needed to survive and thrive. The church to which you tithe has the immense responsibility of using the money tithed to serve the church and its members, the community, and in a way that will bring the gospel of Jesus to people. Churches who are responsible in how they are managing tithing are typically transparent to its membership about how each and every penny is being used. There are several Bible verses that highlight this standard of tithing. Each one of us must give as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 7. Every tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land or of fruit of the trees, is the Lord's. It is holy to the Lord. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 30. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, If God will be with me, and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and clothing to wear, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God, and this stone, which I have set up for a pillar, shall be God's house. And of all that you give me, I will give a full tenth to you. Genesis chapter 28, verses 20 through 22. Now we thank you, our God, and praise your glorious name. But who am I, and what is my people, that we should be able thus to offer willingly? For all things come for you, and of your own have we given you. 1 Chronicles chapter 28, verses 13 through 14. According to a document from the former Solid Rock Church website called The Power of Money, JP discusses how one's feelings around money is a reflection of the heart of that person. This document is super manipulative, insinuating that spending money on yourself and not the church means someone's heart is wrong or bad. He asks the congregants if they think more about God or money, and insists that money is the root cause of most strife on earth. Biblically, Christians are called to steward their finances in a way that honors the Lord. This document, however, certainly made me feel like spending $5 on a fancy cup of coffee every now and then, instead of giving it to my church, means eternal damnation. He says how we spend money is a reflection of our heart. What do you think the best way for church members to display their hearts for God through the church is? That's right, it's through tithing to JP. In the document, he says, quote, "Trust me, if you can't give away something for Jesus or throw something away for your spouse, smiley face emoji, then that thing has you." By thing, he is referring to a possession or money. And you definitely won't be controlled by possessions if you give your money to JP. Also, the formatting of this document is ridiculous. All caps, bolded comments, changing fonts and sizes. Sure, it's petty, but I hate it. Okay, so if we accept that JP and his church can steward my money better than I can, and a surefire way to salvation is by giving away your money to the church, I'd expect that the church would be willing to discuss church finances with the congregation. If missions programs, worship, salaries, building maintenance, etc., are supported by the money of the members of the church, shouldn't those members be provided information about where that money is going? Well, according to JP, 1/3 of the church's money goes to outside missions, overseas work, and local missions. 1/3 goes to salary, and 1/3 goes to building maintenance and growth of the church. Okay, great. But let's dig a little deeper into what each of those third pieces and tails. Well, we can't. JP said that he and the church elders don't share details of how money is being used with the congregation, because when they used to, members would bicker about how the money was distributed. One group wanted more money for youth programs, another group wanted more money for senior citizens, some wanted it for this and that, whatever. Elders and trustees of the church get the details of the finances, but members do not. JP also claims that the elders and trustees make all financial decisions, and he isn't involved. This is a huge red flag. I would have a difficult time at any church that isn't absolutely transparent about their finances. Why wouldn't a church offer that transparency, especially when tithing makes up so much of the church's income? I just have so many questions. What missions, both nationally and internationally, are being funded, and how? What percentage is from tithing and what percentage comes from other sources? If members have an issue with the distribution of funds to different ministries, shouldn't that be a conversation between the pastor and different groups or the entire congregation? Why don't the members trust the elders with how finances are distributed? Anyone and everyone should question any institution that releases a document like the power of money, but refuses to provide transparency in how the institution is using the money. JP has been consistently inconsistent about how well off or broke he and the church are. We have to wonder if JP's insistence on tithing is truly biblical, or if he is taking money for his own purposes. And is it possible that JP's purposes include bigger picture crimes that we keep alluding to? Is the church serving as a front for these crimes? If so, what do the members of the church, especially JP's inner circle, really know?
Listen to this.
And so when Abraham saw him in Genesis 14:20, it says Abram gave Melchizedek a tenth of everything he had. He just saw this high priest and said, you know what, I'm going to tithe. Now, for all of you that think, well, tithing's under the law, this is hundreds of years before the law. So tithing's before the law and it's after the law because Jesus said to do it. But he just thought and said, you know what, I'm just going to give 10% of everything I got. I'm going to give it to him. Abraham had Isaac. Isaac had Jacob. Jacob had Levi. Okay, 4 generations. If you fast forward to the New Testament in Hebrews 7:9, it says Levi paid tithes through Abraham because when Melchizedek met Abraham, Levi was unborn but in the body of Abraham. You know what that tells me? Abraham gave God, right, gave to God, and God is crediting this boy that's not even born as being a giver because his great-grandfather was a giver. Here's what God was saying, it's in the blood now. It's in the blood. Abraham's parents were stingy. They were idol worshipers. Abraham made a decision. He thought he's going to be a giver. Now his great-grandson's automatically, he's not even out of the womb, and God says, that's a giver.
We do not give you permission to assume that we will pay for your share of the cost of ministry in our local church family. We all deeply love our church family. We love you enough to expect you to do your part to be a part of a church family. A final word from Pastor JP. Being a pastor over someone who does not tithe, I have learned that I cannot bless someone whom the Lord is determined to correct. That is one of the most painful lessons I have ever learned. Every single non-tither years later was less passionate for Jesus and bearing less fruit for Jesus. Knowing that this person is going to go backwards spiritually, no matter what I do, makes me very sad. There are hundreds of painful stories in my life from learning this lesson. However, I have now finally learned that I cannot bless someone whom the Lord is determined to correct. Thank you for listening. Please comment, like, and subscribe. You can also check out our podcast, Fixate Today, Gone Tomorrow, for more content. Have anything you'd like us to fixate on? Reach out and let us know. Thanks for joining us. Disclaimer: we are not investigators, journalists, detectives, law enforcement, or historians. We are 2 neurodivergent ladies who just hyperfixate. Please do not take our opinions and ideas as statements of fact. All allegations are just that. We are not accusing anyone of anything, simply offering our interpretation of what we've researched.